Have you ever heard of pathological demand avoidance? As the name suggests, it's a pattern of behavior where a child's resistance to complying with demands is so intense that it interferes with their ability to fully function at home or at school. Now, all children will find ways to avoid doing the things that they don't want to do. But what makes PDA different is the extremes that these children will go to in order to avoid doing the things that they don't want to do. And also that avoidance is often an almost automatic response. So even if you ask them to do things that you know that they would normally enjoy doing, they might ignore you, they might make up excuses for when they can't do something, or they might withdraw or focus really intensely on something else. Some children might even have meltdowns, or they might become rude or aggressive in their attempts to avoid something that they don't want to do. Now, it's very important to understand that children with PDA are not being bratty or defiant. Pathological demand avoidance is highly correlated with autism, and it often stems from feelings of anxiety and a difficulty with dealing with sudden changes in routine. Children with autism struggle to interpret social cues, and so they might not pick up on subtle changes in the environment, so that when you ask them to do something, it might feel as if that demand comes completely out of the blue. If you work with a child with PDA, you might want to employ the following strategies instead. First, make routines as predictable as possible and give them several warnings ahead of time. So you might want to say things like, you've got 10 more minutes of watching this episode and then it's time to shower. Secondly, try to include the words, would you be able to? So instead of saying, pick that towel up off the floor, you might want to say something like, would you be able to pick that towel up off of the floor, please? Third, explain the reason why. So it's important for us to pick the towels up off of the floor, otherwise they stay wet and they become stinky. Make the communication collaborative. And you can do this by asking the child's opinion. So for instance, you could say, I think we need to pick these towels up off of the floor so that they don't become moldy. What do you think? Would you be able to help me by picking your towel up? Follow this page for more advice on how to assist children with PDA and other difficulties, and to understand how the brain works.